Hey guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend. Today we are going to talk about the following question. What does your perfect day look like? Now, today we're really going to be talking about this question in the context of health. A lot of times, either in business contexts or in terms of personal life goal contexts, this question gets asked, and it's a great question to ask for those contexts as well. But today we're going to ask it specifically with regard to health. And in particular, what we're really going to be talking today about is your goals. It's very hard to make progress when you don't know what it is you're shooting for. So, for example, a lot of times when we meet with people who come into the gym, we'll ask them what their goals are, and I'd say, the overwhelming majority of the time people say something like, I want to lose weight, I want to get more fit, I want to be healthier. But it's very hard usually to get them to tell you what that means. Now, there's some people who come in and say, yeah, I want to do a Spartan race, or I want to squat 500 pounds, or whatever it is they want to do, right? And those are good specific goals. But when you say, well, I want to get fitter, well, what does that mean? If you say, I want to get healthier, what does that mean? You want to lose weight, well, how much? What do you want to fit back into? One of the problems that can arise if you don't specify these goals is that you never become satisfied. And I've seen this with people before, whether it's in terms of working out or nutrition, is they say, oh, well, I want to lose some weight. And then when they lose the weight that they thought they originally wanted to lose, they're like, oh, well, I want to lose some more, I want to lose some more. And not realizing that you can't lose an infinite quantity of weight. It stops at a certain point. So we want to make sure that the goals that we have are specific and that we know what we're doing. And as we'll see, goals matter in terms of recommendations. Not every, not everything that we could recommend or recommend against applies to everyone. It really depends on your context and your goals. So we're going to talk about all those things today. So the importance of setting goals. So probably a lot of you guys have heard about SMART goals. You want your goals to be specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, realistic, and time dependent. So you want to have all those metrics in place so that you are able to determine whether this is a good goal that you set for yourself or not. In the financial realm, if you said, gee, I want to make a lot of money, that's a really bad goal according to this standard. And it's not that making a lot of money necessarily is a bad thing. It's that you didn't say, well, how much do you want to make? And in what time domain do you want to make it? And is that realistic? And is it achievable? And all the rest of these things. So similarly with fitness and health, you need to be specific, and you need to make some sort of notes or some sort of idea of what's going to get you to where you want to be. So when people say, oh, I want to lose weight, what does that mean? Usually people don't just want to lose any old weight, they want to lose fat. Well, how much fat do you want to lose? Are we measuring in terms of body fat percentage? Are we doing it in terms of what you can fit into with clothes? Are we doing it in terms of weight, which just by the way is an extraordinarily imprecise measure of your overall health? It doesn't distinguish between fat and muscle. It doesn't tell you anything really about your health except at the extreme ends of the spectrum. So what are you measuring? And again, your goals are dependent on the situation. It really depends on what sort of thing you're going for. As we'll talk about in just a second, if someone is 400 pounds and diabetic, well, the goal that's set for them in terms of weight loss is going to be very different from the person who's just trying to lose those last 10 pounds. Another thing to keep in mind is that while rationality is important, you need, these these aspects of this acronym SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, all these different things are important. They're more the rational side of goal setting, which again is not something that should be overlooked, but you need an emotional component too. A lot of times when I ask people, well, why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to be more fit? Why do you want to be healthier? Sometimes they have an answer and sometimes they don't. And that's a really important question to ask yourself. Why? Some people will say to me, well, I want to dance at my daughter's wedding or something like that. Or I want to be able to play with my kids, or I don't want to I don't want to be unhealthy in my old age. And those are getting closer to what you want to do, but having that emotional reason is really, really, really important to making this sustainable over the long term. Rationality and emotion, in a battle between the two, emotion will almost always win. So emotion is going to be something that you'll need to have as some sort of motivation. You need some sort of emotional component to usually sustain these goals for more than just a few weeks or perhaps a month. Okay, now these questions, now this comes from a bunch of different great coaches out there. CrossFit Football, which we're big fans of, has the tagline, "What are you training for?" These are more health-based versions of that same question, but it's the same exact idea, right? Whenever you're asking yourself about a particular health or fitness question, you should always ask the following two questions. Who are you, and what are you trying to do? Because depending on the answer to those questions, you're going to have very different recommendations. So again, if you're someone who's diabetic and you're trying to avoid having to go on insulin, your recommendations for what you should do are going to be very different from someone who is an otherwise healthy athlete. If you're overweight, the recommendations for you are going to be different than if you were lean and you're maybe trying to gain weight. Are you someone with autoimmunity? Then the recommendations are going to be very different for you as well. And this brings up an even more important point, I think. I'll get people asking me all the time in classes, Robbie, whey protein, is it good or bad? Dairy, is it good or bad? Multivitamins, are they good or bad? And the answer is they are neither good nor bad. It all depends on the context. For someone who is looking to lose weight, let's say, a diabetic, milk is one of the most insulin spiking foods on the planet. And understandably so, it's meant to make baby calves grow into big cows. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend milk, although there can be better varieties for someone who's diabetic. That being said, if someone is an otherwise healthy athlete and they're looking to add either some variety to their diet or they want to put on some muscle mass and they're okay with the trade-offs that come with drinking milk, then so be it. Same thing with whey protein, same thing with multivitamins. They are neither good nor bad. Carbs are neither good nor bad. Fats are neither good nor bad. Cholesterol is neither good nor bad. All of these things depend on a context. So you need to ask this question to yourself: who are you? I'll give you another example. Gluten, grains, wheat, all the rest of it, in general, aren't very healthy for you. But if you're someone with autoimmunity, even more so. It really is something that you got to be very, very careful of if you have an autoimmune disease. If someone doesn't have an autoimmune disease, I would never say that gluten or wheat is healthy, but it's something that I don't necessarily know that you need to avoid like the plague either. But with someone with autoimmunity, you really do have to be quite a bit more careful. So it depends on what you're trying to do and who you are. So we talked about the who you are question, and then directly related to it is, what are you trying to do? Win a gold medal. Okay, well, if the goal is to win a gold medal, then you're going to be doing different things than the average person. Is the goal to sleep through the night? Is the goal to be happy again? I mean, there's so many different goals we could talk about. Squatting 600 pounds, be able to run a marathon, doing a Spartan race, getting your cholesterol numbers so that they're in range. And every single one of those goals is going to come with a slightly different set of recommendations. It's not the same recommendation for everyone. I'll give you another example. People ask me all the time, what do you think about ketogenic diets? Should I do super low carb? Should I do a ketogenic diet? What's the goal? That's my immediate reply back. What's the goal? If your goal is to be someone who's doing CrossFit Metcons on a daily basis, that are 30 minutes long or something like that, maybe ketogenic diet isn't the best way to go. If you're someone who's trying to recover from HPA axis dysfunction, i.e. adrenal fatigue, that might not be the best option either. If you're someone who has a genetic predisposition to higher cholesterol levels, it might not be the best idea either. On the flip side, if you have neurological disorders, so let's say epilepsy, ketogenic diets have been shown repeatedly to be one of the best remedies, naturally speaking, for something like that, and many other things as well. So it really depends on who you are. You need to get very clear about this. People say, 9 times out of 10, especially with guys who come in here, man, I want to get big, but I don't want to gain any weight. Well, there's only so much you can do there. You can get bigger and stronger, and then some fat's going to come along with it, and then you can cut. But as you cut weight, you lose some muscle, and as you gain weight, you gain some fat. There's no two ways about it. There are better and worse ways to go about it, but you have to be clear on what it is you want to do. And as we'll talk about later, the trade-offs. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and everything comes with trade-offs. So now let's talk about this question we kind of started out with. What does your perfect health day look like? Map it out in detail. Like I was saying before, you'll hear this question from business coaches and life coaches, but it's a really good question to ask about health. What's your digestion like? Do you wake up with lots of energy in the morning? What are your cravings like? What's your mood like throughout the day? How easy is it to go to sleep and stay asleep? How do you recover from your workouts? What sorts of things are you eating on a daily basis? And what sort of trade-offs are you willing to make? Do you desperately need to have those 2 cups of coffee in the morning to get through the day? So mapping out in detail, like in exquisite detail, like 9 a.m., this is how I feel. Noon, this is when I have lunch, and this is specifically what I have for lunch, will give you a much better sense of what you're shooting for. And once you have that in mind, we either here at CrossFit South Bend, or if you happen to be somewhere else, your coach could help you figure out the best route to go from there to achieve those goals. But unless you know where you're going, it's going to be pretty hard to get there, right? And then why are goals important to you? This goes back to the needing emotional motivation question. What's really motivating you to stay healthy? I know people who I work with who have severe autoimmunity, and it's all they can do to just have enough energy to get throughout the day. And they don't care about being the best at CrossFit. They don't care about squatting however many pounds. They just care about having enough energy to get throughout the day and enjoy life again. And that's a great goal. If you care about squatting 600 pounds, why? Is it you want to be the strongest in your gym? What's motivating you? What are the reasons behind that? That's a really important thing to get to in order to not only sustain your motivation, but to get clear about why it is you're doing what you're doing. And then one of my favorite questions to ask that I think is just crucial when it comes to setting goals, and I don't think enough people ask this question. So there's a saying out there that I'm sure you've heard: everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die to get there. Could not be more true, and in our line of work with nutrition and fitness, we see this all the time. People say, man, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I don't really want to change my diet to get there. What can you do for me? Nothing really. If someone went to a financial advisor and said, well, I want to get out of my mountains of debt, but I don't really want to change my spending habits. What can you do for me? If they're a good financial advisor, they'd say nothing. With every goal comes some sacrifice. With every goal comes some trade-off. With every destination you're trying to head towards, you have to, in one sense or another, not give as much attention to another destination that you might be interested in pursuing in the future. So what are you willing to give up? People are big talkers when it comes to, man, I want to, we've had people, I kid you not, we've had people call us up and say, I want to go to the CrossFit Games in 6 months. Not really understanding that, this is something that even the best athletes, it takes years, and even for them, it's not always guaranteed. And, for the best athletes, it takes lots of time, it takes lots of money, it takes heartache and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, and all these different things. So what are you willing to sacrifice to get where you want to be? When I work with my FDN coaching clients, where we're really focused on deep health, when we're talking about, testing for hormone levels and gut pathogens and neurotransmitters and blood sugar level and all these different things to get someone back to optimal health, I just come out straight and say it. I said, this is going to be a minimum of 6 months of work. You're going to need to give up sugar, alcohol, and caffeine for a minimum of 90 days. You're going to need to eat clean as well for those 90 days and beyond, but perhaps a little less strict after those 90 days. You're going to have to order supplements, you're going to have to order tests, you're going to have to do all these different things to get back to health. And if someone comes back to me and says, hey, you know what, that's just too much for me to do, I totally understand. There's no judgment. But, for someone who really wants to get back to health, that's what's necessary. That's what's necessary. Depending on your health level. If you have an autoimmune disease or a chronic health condition, that's what's necessary. And similarly with, if you want to make it to the CrossFit Games, or if you want to squat 600 pounds, or any other health or fitness goal that you have. So you really have to be clear about what it is you're willing to sacrifice. Very few things that are worthwhile come without any sacrifice. Most things that are worthwhile require some sacrifice. So it's something you have to be clear about. There's this quote from Warren Buffett that I like that also highlights the same idea. You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. And boy, does that sum it up. So what he's saying there is, say you want to, let's just take a hypothetical. I doubt Warren Buffett wants to squat 600 pounds, but say someone wants to squat 600 pounds, let's say. You're going to, let's say you're also interested in endurance stuff. Training for a marathon and training to squat 600 pounds are just completely and 100% incompatible with one another. You cannot do both at the same time. You have to pick one, stick with it, and then do that, and then maybe do the other at a different time. They are not compatible with each other. It just doesn't work that way. And there are many other things that are a similar case. If you're trying to heal your adrenals, long CrossFit workouts probably aren't going to be the best thing for you. So you can have anything you want. You can pick your goal, go for it, and follow the path that's required for it. But you can't have everything you want. Everything comes with a series of trade-offs. Okay, so those are a number of important questions that I think should be asked when it comes to goal setting. And then I want to finish off with this question that we started with. What does your perfect day look like? Now, I said we were asking it just with regard to health for this video, but I think also from a health perspective, it's important to ask this question with regard to all other aspects of your life. Something that often goes unnoticed is if you're really unhappy with your job, that's going to dramatically impact your health. If you are unhappy with your relationships, let's say, that's going to impact your health as well. If you're unhappy because you're not achieving the things you want to achieve, that's going to impact your health as well. It's going to lead to mental and emotional stress. So while we talked about this with a specific health focus today, I think those mental, emotional things that relate to other facets of your life also have an impact on health. So it would be a good idea in thinking about your health and fitness goals to not just think about the health aspects of that question, but even the broader aspects. What does your perfect work week look like? What does your perfect relationship with your spouse and your kids look like? Because those all play a tremendous role in your overall health. All right, okay, so hopefully by the end of this, you have a good sense of some questions to ask that will enable you to get clear about your goals. And then once you get clear about your goals, if you're not already here, come in and see us. We'll help you find a way to get to them. And if you are here and you just haven't really thought about it before, think about these and come talk to us. We'd love to talk to you about your goals and help you get closer to them. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.